Welcome back to the Red Web. I'm your host, Brad West. Joining me, of course, is Mr. Greg Burrow, and Lone from Dragon Slayer Comic Fantasy tonight. Say hi, Greg.
Hello.
And then Ms. Anastasia Anderson. She's going to help keep our fact check going. We're going to be continuing our talk about Black Widow. We did a little bit of the history of Black Widow yesterday with some opening stuff and some other opinions and some non-tangentials, which we guarantee you is the charm of the show. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more about Black Widow, the end of the 70s and through the 80s and up until
current.
So mostly we're going to be going over the major highlights of the career of Black Widow in the comic books.
Yes, because she has a lot of them, and to preface this, there's a lot of starting and stopping to her stories. Like,
Correct.
she doesn't have a consistent backstory.
Yeah, it was a while before she started having her own miniseries, much like ongoing series.
Yeah.
The majority of her appearances are in either anthology type books, Marvel Spotlight type things, or in other characters' books. And like we said at the end of the last episode, after she got her costume ID and changed her identity and became a hero, after falling in love with Hawkeye and defecting and trying to mimic Spider-Man's powers, then she finally started appearing in superhero books, and she spent her next big section of her comic book history in Daredevil comic books, where she dated Daredevil. Even as Greg pointed out, interestingly, for a while, they gave her top billing. She shared billing, much along the way in the vein that how when they moved Iron Fist and Power Man into one book, they gave them shared billing. Daredevil's comic book for a while was Black Widow and Daredevil. Or scratch that, reverse it.
Oh.
Yeah, Daredevil and Black Widow.
Oh.
In fact, that's a major point of her character is like I had mentioned before, when she fought Spider-Man and she wanted to be a hero and she was trying to mimic him, she came to the conclusion that she needed to be her own hero and do things her own way. She didn't need to copy Spider-Man.
Correct.
And she was a perfectly adequate and skilled fighter and hero on her own. And kind of the same thing happened with her in the Daredevil comic book, where after working with him in San Francisco, where she tried her hand at being a fashion designer, she tried a secret identity, and that didn't quite work out for her. She eventually came to the conclusion that she was better than just Daredevil's sidekick.
Which she is.
So she moved on, and like I said, she was in California at the time, and Daredevil with her. I don't know why Daredevil was in San Francisco. You have to ask Daredevil. I don't know. But while she's in California, though, that's how she ends up on the Champions with Iceman and Angel and Hercules and stuff like that. So those are some fun points in there. Up until this point, she really didn't have much of her own supporting cast, simply because she was always a character in other people's books. The one character that they did have, Ivan Petrovich, was her middle-aged chauffeur character. He was shown as her Alfred, more or less, kind of spy handler, hero support kind of thing. And moving on from there, the next major character that you have, and he shows up in the Daredevil comic book, and this is a name that might sound familiar to you if you've seen the movie, Alexei Shostakov.
Yes.
Alexei Shostakov in the comic book was actually her husband, and he was chosen for Russia's Red Guardian program that was their super soldier answer to Captain America.
Yes.
Before, what take it from there, Greg?
Well, it's kind of convoluted, but basically when Natasha was in the Red Room, one of her teachers was actually the Winter Soldier, Bucky, and Bucky Barnes, but he obviously didn't know his past because he had been brainwashed at that time.
And what happened to Shostakov?
Oh, I'm getting there.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Yeah. So anyway, what it is that she had a relationship with Bucky, and the Russian government decided that they wanted her to marry Red Guardian before he became the Red Guardian. So they got married, and
so Bucky came before she got married.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Because she was already like a spy and all that, and the Russian government at that time, specifically the head, I want to say it was Khrushchev, actually wanted her to have a happy home life. And so he wanted her to be a housewife and all that kind of stuff. So he basically told her to get married to this Russian scientist, astronaut guy,
Right.
who
He was-
ended
he
up
was a
becoming
pilot astronaut.
yeah.
Remember that.
Ended up becoming the Red Guardian. And when he became the Red Guardian, they pulled him for the Red Guardian. They basically told Natasha that he had died in a
Yeah,
rocket
they like
explosion.
fake his death.
Yeah. And so she wanted to get back into being a spy and an assassin to avenge his death.
Got it. Okay.
And so
I'm assuming Winter Soldier went back on ice.
yeah, Winter Soldier was back on ice again.
Okay.
So anyway, so that was kind of how things were going in her Russian appearances. But then she goes over to America and finds out that she had been toyed with. She falls in love with Hawkeye and defects to America.
Back to America.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no. We were talking about how in her original appearances she'd come over because I had forgotten that Anton Vanko, the Crimson Dynamo, had actually already defected and become good. Iron Man had already turned him good. She was originally sent to assassinate Vanko, who had defected. And it was her partner, Boris Chezov. I'm not good with the Russian names. Crimson Dynamo 2, who she defeats with Hawkeye before becoming an Avenger. So I think that pretty much sets up all of her adventures up until eventually she joined S.H.I.E.L.D., correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So that takes us in the next era where we're in the mid to late 80s now. She's a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's dated Daredevil, and she comes to find out that her husband is alive.
Yeah.
So Red Guardian is alive, that she's been lied to, and because of this, I don't remember exactly what happens, but one of their adventures, something happens, and it traumatizes her to the point where she actually reverts to one of her secret identities.
Yeah.
And she has partial amnesia, so she thinks she's this other person, Nancy Rushman, which is interesting because if I remember correctly, the name of her character on Iron Man 2 was Natalie Rushman.
Probably, yes. Okay.
So
cool.
That's where they get Rushman from. But in her guise of Nancy Rushman, she actually had a romantic relationship with Spider-Man. They actually kind of were attracted to each other. It was her first interaction with Spider-Man in his ability, or Peter Parker, not Spider-Man, but rather in his identity of Peter Parker. And then we had talked earlier about when we were talking about our spy episode last time, Shang-Chi is apparently one of the best spy books. And in addition to a martial arts book, it's a great spy book. And Shang-Chi is a member of MI6. So along with MI6, Spidey helps to restore her memories and bring her back into the fold. And that's when she goes and she realizes that Daredevil will never think of her as anything other than a platonic relationship, and moves on, and she forms the Champions.
Okay.
So then that brings us up to the 2000s. Now, if you saw our nice little our tidbit last night, we were talking about Kevin Smith's run on Daredevil, the Guardian Devil storyline. This is the next time that Natasha makes a really big appearance in the comic books and other characters, and is part of a major story, is in the Guardian Devil storyline, where Daredevil, and in addition to all the other stuff that Mysterio has been doing to screw with Matt Murdock's mind, he's trying to basically trick him into murdering a baby.
I'm still like, is there something wrong with that baby? Or,
Well, okay, so
or it's like, what is the reason that's not one of the crazy
the premise
reasons
is
he gives
he's playing off the fact that Matt Murdock, of course, is a Christian character. He's Catholic and he believes in everything. So he must. If he
They're
believes
trying
in
to
God,
break him.
if he believes in God, then he must believe in the devil. And so he's doing all this stuff. And he's using all of his illusion powers to make it look like this baby's the Antichrist.
It's like
He's basically trying to convince Daredevil that that he needs to kill this baby in order to save, millions of lives and prevent endless suffering. That, the life of one baby is nothing compared to the endless suffering that will happen if he lets the Antichrist be born.
so he can pull the rug back when he's done and be
And
like,
go, "Side,
you
you
killed
murdered a baby." Yeah.
Oh God.
That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Oh my
And
God. Okay.
Black Widow comes back for the first time since she dated him when she was part of his book and she was dating him, and she actually sits and has a good long talk with him, and she helps him out a little bit and kind of snatches him back into the game.
Sir, have you tried not murdering a baby?
Yes, let's not murder a baby today.
My God.
Yes, that is that part of the story.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, and from there it goes into, I think, the next really big thing. The big thing that really that's when she finally starts getting her own ongoing series.
Yeah.
Okay.
She finally gets her own ongoing series in the mid 2000s, and this is where we introduce the Elena Belova character.
Okay.
Elena Belova.
Yeah, 1964 till when was her new series? I want to say
2004 maybe.
Yeah.
At least 40 years, 50 years, right?
Yeah.
64 to, yeah. It was a while, y'all.
Yeah.
But such
Well,
is.
Black Cat just got her first series a couple
But
years
she's had
ago.
mini-series over the years. She had mini-series as far back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't even think Black Widow had even a 4-part mini-series.
We
She
won't
was
even
always-
talk about the Kevin Smith Black Cat series.
I mean,
Which one
I
was
think
that?
We'll
I think
deal
the
with
fourth.
him in a minute.
I think the fourth issue. People had to wait 5 years for it to come out.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
oh, Kevin.
Yes,
Okay.
we're gonna have some Kevin Smith today.
Oh,
It's the need for it.
Kevin.
We should do a creative spotlight, and
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
I'm taking
I
my
love you,
glasses.
man,
As I'm taking my
but-
glasses off. That's how this is going. Okay.
I love
So-
you, man, but that's just.
He's
ooh. He's got good stories.
He's got his stuff. Like, Quiver was good. The Green Arrow series was really good. And there was parts of Guardian Devil I like. I mean, the art was amazing. I'm a sucker for Art Deco. I'm a sucker for Art Deco. And, like, all of the Art Deco in that just was, like, popped. It's just one of my favorite. I mean, in spite of the obvious BS, it's still one of my favorite Daredevil stories, which, I got alone you. But.
It's like, and they decided for a little bit that they were going to focus more on her character trying to have a normal life, because it's like, I guess she pops off too much. Like, when I look, because what we read, or the one I read, is the one this poster is based off of. It's called The Times That Bind. Basically, every comic book shop has it right now. And all it is her villains have decided that she's too much of a threat, that instead of murdering her, they're going to make her so unconditionally happy with a happy life that she's just not going to want to murder anybody.
Isn't that what the good villains do, though?
Yeah, I mean, it was a smart plan. The problem is that, the light spoilers, one of the characters is like, no, I don't want her to be happy. It's like, which causes shenanigans.
See, if I were a supervillain, I say this time and time again. If I'm a supervillain, I'm going to find my enemies, family, and friends, and I'm going to hook them up. I'm going to set them in a nice hotel. Like, it's going to be gorgeous, sunny beaches, and they're going to have universal health care. There's gonna be nothing. Because the dumbest thing every supervillain does is they torture the loved ones. Well, like, you know what? Now he got nothing to lose. No, yeah, way to go, moron. You just motivated the hell out of him.
It's like you traumatized Dave.
You just... my poor dog.
He's like,
what's going on here? Yes, Daddy talks with his hands, baby. We know this is a thing. But yeah, that's a good plan. That's a good plan.
yeah, it's like, well, and if you've watched them, because these are the kind of action hero shows I've watched a bunch, which are the character just wants to be left alone. He wants to lead a normal life, and then suddenly they're like,
You shot my dog.
Yeah, and then there's a murder spree. It's like
there's a murder spree.
I know. I'm trying to figure out if this came before the John Wick movies, but I remember
this came after for sure.
This came after.
For sure.
Okay.
This is actually pretty recent.
Oh, okay.
It's within the past 3 or 4 years.
It's like, but yeah, no. It literally everything was going fine. Like, characters from regular parts of her life were trying to come into the seed, and she still wasn't fazed by it. And somehow they still were like,
and
yeah,
that
I'm gonna try to murder her.
hoe
And
is
that,
like,
and it just uproots the entire
not
thing.
happening.
It's fun. It's worth a read, but yeah, no, it's like they decide to rotate the character of I just want a normal life and to be a normal person a bunch, especially once the Black Widow movies came out.
Speaking, and it's non-canon, but it's actually a unique read. It's not very heavy on action, but it's heavy on drama. There's a series of books that Marvel did for a while called The End, where they would try to imagine what it would be like if they were to ever let any of their characters actually die. And there was a series, Daredevil: The End, where they like skip to the future and they really focus on what a man-hoe Matt Murdock was. And like they're going around and they're like interviewing like all of his ex-lovers, and you're finding out that like like I think Black Widow had 3 children by him, like instead of twins, and
My God.
it was really bizarre. But it's an interesting book. I always like to see these kind of what if things. It's a lot more interesting than Punisher kills the whole universe or whatever.
Right.
But
Of
yeah.
course, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really looking forward to What If coming up.
What
really
if?
soon.
Yes.
What if is going to be
It'd be a
really
good
fun?
what if.
I'm
It's this
excited.
month, so
Is
yeah.
it this month?
Yeah.
August.
Oh,
August.
wow.
Is it August today?
No, it's not
No,
August
Oh, it
today.
is August today.
It
It is
will be
August today.
August
For you, it's August
when we
today.
When we post this. I'm sorry, we're doing these ahead of time. We're confused.
Hey, we'll get the hang of it. But
I tried to
tried.
make it smooth.
You tried to make it smooth, and I jacked it up. I messed it up like
I'm
that.
sorry, we don't know what time is anymore.
Time,
Just-
time is a construct.
So, anyways, so that kind of catches us up to where Black Widow is today.
Well, I just want to finish one thing. So, anyway, the main thing for the 2000s, the really main beat to really take away from that era of comic books and Black Widow and having her solo title was the introduction of Yelena Belova. Yelena Belova, who you've seen obviously in the movie, and they've done an amazing job of incorporating and tweaking the story to make this kind of sisterly bond thing, which I find is interesting in itself too. But the original Yelena Belova, she is actually meant to be the replacement for Black Widow, and that more or less her whole storyline beat is this: she was so good in the Red Room and such a good spy that she was the first person to ever just across the board beat Natasha's numbers. Like she just beat all the numbers, and so she walks away with confidence, thinking, well, you know what? I'm better than Natasha Romanoff, so that I should be the Black Widow. So she starts off as a villain, a bad guy. She's kind of trying to take out Natasha so she can claim the title of Black Widow on her own. And much like Natasha herself, when it came to Daredevil and Spider-Man and other characters, had to decide that she was a good enough hero in her own right. Natasha's basic way of turning Yelena is he's like, you know what? You're good. Yeah, you're right. You're better than me. You don't need to be me. You don't need to be Black Widow. You can be your own thing.
Right? You're better
go
than me.
from that.
Have you seen me? I saw
Right.
just.
So that's the main thing that leads up to it, and we finally start getting more actual. She takes on leadership roles in the Avengers for the first time instead of just being one of the other members and stuff like that. So
Right?
So anyway, so that kind of wraps up the comics.
that's the
aspect of her
comics.
history.
Yep,
So,
next up are the movies.
Next up is the movies. We're going to actually start, next episode, we're going to start with her entire run through the MCU up to her own movie. So, see you guys tomorrow. Take
Thank you
care.
for joining us. Like, subscribe, follow.
Bye.